Hi there, how you doing? Just before I start, I'm just trying to get rid of this brightness so I can talk and also you can see me. Not that many people are watching these days, but oh, that's going to have to do in it. The brightness is too much, it's just making everything too bright on the camera. So anyway, how you doing? My name's Electric Johnny Hat. I did do this talk last year on my other channel. But that other channel's gone, so I'm going to do it again. And it's just to talk everything that that I've been talking about really over the last sort of year or so, maybe a bit longer, about everything that's really going on in our reality, you know. Which, like I've always said, is, you know, everything in this reality is based on you anyway, because your reality is you. Everything that goes on is in your mind. Everything we see is in your mind. It's projected through your mind. There is no outside. It's just everything is perceived through the perception of your own eyes, through your mind. Obviously, we are all seeing the same thing, but we all see things differently because we perceive to see things differently from the next person. Totally. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, well, things don't really get out anyway, so I don't think it really matters about, you know, choosing different keywords and stuff like that, because the people are not really aware of what's going on. You know, it's going to be hard to talk in codes because they probably won't get it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just going to be direct and just talk normally, because I'm shadow banned really heavily anyway, you know, so... been trying to get away from YouTube, and I'm sure that's what they want anyway. It's just why they do it. I'm already on 2 strikes, like I've talked about before. They hit me with 2 strikes. This is on my second channel. My first channel's gone 3 months ago, but this is my second channel, and I'm already on 2 strikes. So they're working, waiting for me to say something that I shouldn't say, so they can take the last channel. They're probably jumping up and down. Go on, Johnny, say it. Just say some keywords so we can take you off and get rid of this channel as well, and I probably will never be able to return. Do you know what I mean? But I'm on multiple other platforms. I'm on loads of other platforms, but they just don't take off, you know. Yeah, you know, the talking part of things that I do today is not a problem, but the videos I've made in the past, you know, they can be made again, you know, but it's doing them again. It's so time consuming, it really is. But anyway, let's get going again. Sorry. So. Yeah, everything is in your own mind, so everything is your mind. Everything is seen through the perception of your eyes. We perceive to see what we want to see, even though we all see the same things slightly, or let's just say they're slightly different from the next person, because we all perceive to see things differently from the next person. But everything is in our own mind. The universe, everyone has their own universe in their own mind. Everyone has their own earth and that in their own mind, which is really hard for people to comprehend, obviously, because they, you know, the first thing people think is, what are you talking about? You're talking crazy. Because everyone's been indoctrinated to look at things a certain way through the educational system and stuff like that, which you're all aware of anyway. But anyway, so let's jump straight forward into the atmospheres, the layers of the atmosphere. We can do that because I'm sure you're all aware of the layers of the atmosphere, or the ionosphere that's in the middle, or slightly in the middle, between the troposphere and the thermosphere. So we start from the troposphere. We are on the troposphere. We're on the start of the troposphere. It actually goes a bit lower than us because of the oceans and stuff like that, and the crystal that's on the layers, on the base of the layers of our Earth, because our Earth is based on crystal. Carbon, everything is carbon. 666 is the carbon of man. That's 6 electrons, 6 neutrons and 6 protons, which is carbon of man. Carbon is crystal of the earth. Everything is crystal. And all DNA of past things that have lived and died, whether it's insects, birds, animals, whatever, are all the DNA that's left on the troposphere, or part of the troposphere, which will be the firmament of the firm ground that we walk on. The firmament is not the dome. The firmament is the firm ground that we walk on, the layer of the troposphere that we walk on. You understand? So the troposphere. Right, let's just start right there. The troposphere, the stratosphere, no, I'm getting this right. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. So we're on the bottom layer of which will be the troposphere, and we can't go no further than the exosphere, because the exosphere is the last layer of the atmosphere. Nobody goes past there. Do you know why no one goes past there? Because there's nothing up there. There is no reality past the exosphere. That's the end of, that is the last line, the last layer of the atmosphere. And there's nothing beyond that. There's a black void up there, a void. There's nothing there. NASA and all the other space agencies, whether it's China, NASA or Russia, and we've all seen the videos on Russia of, and these are not fake. We've seen the American ones and the Russian ones, especially the Russian ones, because they went straight to the top of the exosphere and then bounced off the layer of thick water that's up there. The water and the different the different layers of mixed of water and other minerals and ice and stuff like that goes solid as you get to the top. But the ether, I mean, we're in the ether now, and we see, we are breathing in tiny particles of water that we can't see. This is why we're always sort of like, in a way, damp. Do you know what I mean? If we dried out, we'd be like a dry prune and we'd die. So everything has to have that moisture. It's in the atmosphere. We're in that troposphere of the layer of the atmosphere that is based on water. So we are breathing in tiny particles of water. Even right now, as I'm talking, I'm breathing in tiny particles of water that we can't see. They're so fine and small you can't see them, but they're there. It's the dampness, it's the moisture that's in the air. And as you go higher into the stratosphere and the mesosphere and into the thermosphere, it just gets stronger and stronger, and you go into different layers of the atmosphere and different layers of water that we don't know about and we don't see. Different gases that you float around in. And I'm not talking about where people go to a certain part and everyone starts floating around. That's not what I'm saying. It's the different layers of water that goes right up to the exosphere when it hits like ice and like a jelly of mixture of water and different textures of a different water that we're not aware of. But these are all parts of the layers that make this Earth work. So going back to the Russian ones most of the American ones just went up and went over because they know that they can't go further, they can't go up past the exosphere anyway. So there's no point even trying for them. But the Russians were very ballsy, and they went straight up, and they hit that layer on the exosphere. I don't even think they got that far because the water was too dense and they couldn't get past it. So all they did was bouncing back off it and coming back down again. You can't get past it because there's nothing up there. There's the last layer of the exosphere, and then there's nothing else up there. So people are bouncing off and coming back down. And then they realise that they can't get through. They realise there's nothing beyond the exosphere apart from the black void. Like the back of your eyes, it's a black void. So when you see through when you perceive to see of what you want to see through your own perception of what you see, it's going to be, you get to a point of a dark, things that are behind your eyes, a void. We can only see what we want to perceive. And it's the same up there at the top of the exosphere. You can't go past it because there's nothing to go past. This so-called outer space, which I will go, I've got a theory on this of what is really going on with outer space, but technically there is no outer space. It's only a dimensional thing. So the NASA and the Russians and all that, well, the Russians mainly we're talking about here because they were the ballsy ones that managed to go straight up to see if they could actually break through. But no, you can't break through because the Earth has been built on the 5 layers of the atmosphere and the ionosphere in the middle, all to make this Earth work. Every so-called planet, as we know, the moon, the sun, it's all in our atmosphere, and all the other so-called planets, which are all encased in crystalline spheres. We are encased in a crystalline sphere. The moon is encased in a crystalline sphere. The sun is encased in a crystalline sphere. This is the way it is. But you can't get past the exosphere. They tried, and then they've realised, and then they have to come up with this so-called story of the thing of outer space. So in a way, they're sort of lying, but they're not lying. They're to make up a story to give to us. Because if they directly got onto the main news channel or a main news channel tomorrow, let's say the president did, and said, sorry, we had to lie to you because we had to protect you. If we stood up now and turned around and said on mainstream news or the mainstream channel that there's nothing beyond the exosphere, there's nothing there, there's no outer space, it's just a black void, people would lose their mind. and think, what are we talking about? But we've been indoctrinated a certain way to think that there is something up there. There is outer space beyond the exosphere, but there's nothing beyond the exosphere. So they had to come up with this story. Like I say, in their eyes, to protect us, or that's what they say, to protect us. But no, we are strong. I don't think people would lose it. I mean, there probably will be a big percentage that would lose their mind because they have been so badly indoctrinated. But the awake movement, the people that are awake, that are into the truth movement, already know this. So we are not going to lose our mind. We will accept it. We already have accepted it because we know what it is. So they come up with this story about this to say that there's outer space because they don't want you to lose your mind. But we're strong. We know we can deal with it. But I'm not saying there isn't a big population in the world, of the world's population, that probably would lose their mind. Then everybody goes crazy, or at least certain a percentage of people will go crazy because they can't deal with it. But the awake movement can deal with it. We can, and we've already accepted it. And they know we've accepted it. So why not they just get on the news channel very soon and just tell the bloody world's population what's really going on, because we already know. We already know. Now, the dimensional thing, which could be in a way not outer space, because it's not outer space, it's dimensional. So I've been looking into things like I always do, and we all know about the ether. The ether. In my eyes, the ether is the consciousness anyway, but you have to break into the ether. And we all know that ether is not tangible until it has been shown to be tangible. Like the electricity in the atmosphere. The electricity in the atmosphere, once it's been ignited through the ether, then you can see. Radio waves all go through the ether. Then we can see. We know it all goes through the ether. It's the connectivity of everything, like the consciousness. This is why I say they're the same thing. The ether and the consciousness are the same thing. Because once it's there, it's tangible to see. We know we have a consciousness because we know we have a meat suit, which is nothing. It's a vessel to carry the consciousness that we are in. The consciousness that we are carrying the consciousness. But you can break into the ether to make it tangible. So if we can break into the ether, then maybe that probably is the dimensional thing. So then we could be sort of, in a way, technically in this so-called outer space, but is not going to be perceived in the same way of what they showed us of outer space to be, because it's a dimensional thing. It's just dimensional. But that is the only sort of way of looking at the outer space, is by breaking into the ether. Once we can get into the ether, the dimensional thing, then we will be in this so-called space. But like I say, it's not going to be perceived in the same way they showed us. This is the only way. The ether is the everything. The connectivity of fractality is everything. It's what connects one cell to the next. The cell of you, the cell of the birds, the trees, and all nature and wildlife, of mammals, of animals and mammals. They are all connected. We are all connected together in the ether. The consciousness. So they will just, I mean, like I say, why don't they just, it's about time they just tell us the truth, because we already know, but it needs to be confirmed for the rest of the people. You understand? Now, I've been doing it for years. I constantly go onto NASA channels and social media channels that are all following, the outer space and NASA and stuff like, and all other space agencies all around the world. I talk to all these people, and I try to be very respectful. I mean, a couple of years ago back, I might have been a bit narky, a bit aggressive. But now I've come to the point where I don't need to do that anymore. Because all I'm trying to do is like the rest of us, is trying to wake up the rest of the world's population that has been indoctrinated this way or that way of believing that outer space is real, when it's not. They already know, powers that be, that is, already know. The elites of the world, the politicians, the Illuminati families, whatever you want to call them. The Borgia family and people like that. The House of Bourbon, people like this. But they already know. So it's like I say, going back to it, I've been trying to wake these people up for years, and I still try to do it to this day by talking to different groups and things like that to do with NASA or other space agencies, and the people that have been indoctrinated to think this way, and they still think that way even till today. And I still say to them, respectfully, then please prove it. And they can't. Apart from throwing mathematical equations at you that doesn't work, it doesn't wash with us. Not anymore. So you see, the truth movement has become so big now. Like I say, 2 or 3 out of a 10% that are really, probably higher than that actually know that or got into or just started to get into the truth movement. But they've left that other stuff behind now. They've left it behind. Because they know about the truth movement and they know what's really going on. So we still, or me personally, and probably, of course, many thousands, millions of other people are trying to wake up the rest. The so-called sheeple, which is probably a disrespectful word, but that's the truth. They know, the powers that be know it's all in the mind. Everything is the mind. Everything is perceived is through the mind. This is why there's no outer space, because everything is done through the perception of your eyes only. You only perceive to see what you can see. Have you ever had a dream about space, about outer space? About being in outer space? About travelling to space? I haven't. Have you? We haven't because it's not possible. The consciousness won't allow us to think in that way or that way inclined because there's no such thing. Because it's all in the mind. So like I go back again and say about NASA and all these other space agencies. They've kind of lied in their way to try and protect us. I'm not here to defend them because they're not telling the truth. Even though we can see the truth. Because we've seen what NASA do. We've seen what the space agencies do. China's probably got the worst CGI out of all of them. When China and other space agencies show this so-called non-gravity in the air, you look on the side, they've got a cup of water that is just remaining still. And if there's no gravity, if there was no gravity that kind of way, then the water would just float away out of the glass. But it doesn't, it stays there. It's all there for you to see. They have to leave clues, and this in my eyes is their clues of trying to let you know without them telling you directly. You understand? So in their eyes, I'm guessing they are just there to try and protect us because, like I just said initially at the start of this video, that they don't want to tell people because they think that everybody would just lose their mind. But the truth movement will not lose their mind because we've done so much research now. We know that there's nothing beyond the exosphere. There's only a void up there, a black void. And I remember a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I talked about it being a computer game, a simulation. And in my eyes, I suppose it really is, because there's nothing beyond it. But the simulation is so technical; it's all in your own mind. So the simulation is not as perceived in the way that they say it is. This kind of computer game is all like internally in your own mind. But there's nothing beyond that line. There's nothing there. There's just a black void. And we've seen that. We've seen the way they try to get up there and go past. And like I said, the Russians were ballsy enough to do that. And they go straight up to the top where the water and that, or the pressure of water is so dense that they just come back down again. Because they can't go no further. Panic, what are they going to do? And they know that we've seen that. We've seen these things going on. We are all born with common sense and logic. All of us. And we can see what's going on out there. We can see that the sun rises in the east and goes over to the west. Every day. I sit here every morning and it goes over from the east. And every morning it blinds me, the sunshine, because it's going over to the west. And they say that it's not. It's the stars and that are revolving, the ether that's revolving around us. It's not. Which makes it look like the sun and the stars. are moving around us, but we know that they are revolving around us. We are the centre. Each person is the centre of the universe. And that's why it's all shown this way. This is why we perceive to see it this way, that the sun comes up in the east and goes down in the west. There's no denying that. It's there. We perceive to see that. Well, we do see that. It's there. There's no denying that, is there? No denying it whatsoever. And then they try to fool us with it because they say they're trying to we seem to think they're just trying to protect us. But we can handle it, can't we? We can all handle it. So we just need to carry on trying to wake up the indoctrinated people that still believe in the outer space, still believe there's something beyond the exosphere, when we know there's not. There's not. Everything is your own mind. When you wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes, that is the start of your reality. And when you go to bed at night time, you close your eyes and sleep, that's the end of your reality for that day. And then your reality will not start again. Your lights are out. Your consciousness is out. You're dreaming. You're in some kind of hyperspace of dimensional, which is something we're still trying to work out. But we will get there. And this all comes down to the secret societies and the Freemasons. Or should we just stick with secret society, because there's many secret societies that holds all the knowledge to these sciences that we all are all craving to understand or craving to know the truth of. All of it. That's what this is all about, the secret societies, because they have the knowledge and we don't. And this has been like this for hundreds and hundreds of years, them hiding that kind of knowledge. I'm sure at one time everybody knew about this knowledge. I'm assuming maybe they didn't. Maybe it's just always been hidden. And then when we get to know about all this, and then half the world's population does wake up, things go really bad. Well, I can't talk about them things, obviously, because it'll get my channel another strike and I lose the channel. But you know what I'm saying. Once they realise we've all woken up, things go bad. And they are. But we can't talk about them kind of things. So let's just carry on trying to work out. I mean, I've been working so hard on secret societies, and I mean, I've talked to many, many people about secret societies that have better knowledge of it on me. So I'm learning from them. There's so many people out there that do know a lot about secret societies and Freemasons, and just basically the secret knowledge, the occult knowledge. Occult means hidden. Occult knowledge that they all know about, and people are getting to know about. I've done so much research on it. Everything's biology. Everything is biology. All the texts is all around and inside the pyramids. All those texts and those drawings you see are all based on biology, because they understood back then. They understood that everything is just you and yourself. They understood that everything is perceived through your own mind. So that's why they built all these texts and drawings and that, which was all based on you. Biology. Nothing else. Not outer space and planets and galaxies far, far away, because they knew that wasn't going on. They knew it was just you and yourself through your minds, and everything is biology. Everything out there on the external is based on the internal. Everything. The two hemispheres in the brain is connected to the hemispheres out there. The star points of those hemispheres on the external is connected to your electrical points of the neuro points on your hemispheres of your brain. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's all biology. The external is the internal. Your internal is shown out there on the external. And that's why you can't go past the exosphere. That's why there's a void after. Like I said, from behind your eyes, eventually you will see the dark part, a void. When you go to sleep, the reality is cut off. Your reality is cut off when you go to sleep until you wake up again in the morning. Then your reality starts again for the next day. But when you're sleeping, that's that black void that's there. Like the black void that's not there. That the black void is there beyond the exosphere. Because beyond the exosphere is nothing, it's just a black void. There's a line, a barrier whether it's crystalline or crystal or water, or some other kind of textured water or crystal or ice, it's all matter. And maybe just all three. But they know about all of that. My name's Electric Johnny Happ. I love you all. Thank you for listening. I did this talk last year, but I said I lost my channel 3 months ago. So I'm starting again, and it's really tricky trying to get views. Obviously, the shadow ban's been put very heavily in place, so nothing's getting out. Absolutely nothing. But if I could try and get people to come over and just listen to what I've been talking about, then maybe they will get it too. But it's just a matter of spreading the right information. There is nothing beyond the exosphere. We have a troposphere, we have a stratosphere, we have a mesosphere, we have a thermosphere, and we have an exosphere, and then we have a black void. There is nothing beyond the exosphere. Thank you very much.